Good day to you out there, wherever you may be. 12 noon Nigerian time or West African time, and I'm speaking from Nigeria. I've had this done over the years quietly as an organization training leadership or training leaders, and as time to grow in the field of leadership. And I've discussed on several issues on this all-important topic of leadership. And I just thought for some time to extend this broadcast to YouTube YouTube, and do a live broadcast. So you may be out there and have just come across this. Let me say a big welcome to you, having taken time to come on live. And today, my attempt is to do a little discussion on the term or on the topic of determination. On the topic of determination. Now, it has become obvious, it is global or globally known, that there is nobody who succeeds, no one who perseveres without having determined to do so. All right, so success is never by chance. Success is never by accident. Success is always based on plans and hard work. Okay, so I'm going to be talking on the part of the hard work today as I do this broadcast, and I'm hoping that as many out there who can listen and who can join, please feel free to join and also send this invitation to as many friends as you have out there. Now, let me begin by talking about Born to Lead. Born to Lead is an organization that specializes in training men and women towards discovering the leadership potentials that are captured in the inside of every one of us. Now, you may have heard arguments or questions as to whether people are born leaders or they are made leaders. Or in other words, are leaders born or are leaders made? And you may have also heard many responses regarding that. But my response is simple, which is to say that leaders are both born and made. They are born in the sense that in the inside of every one of us is captured leadership potential. And of course, potential simply means energy or goal that is yet to be achieved. Okay? So on the inside of every one of us is captured that leadership potential. And because every one of us has the potential to exhibit leadership, it therefore follows that leaders are born with the qualities of leadership captured or trapped in the inside of every one of us. Now, the problem is not many of us know this concept. Not many of us believe this truth. Not many of us search within us for the qualities of leadership that are buried in the inside of every one of us. So rather than agree with this, rather than seek ways to develop this, a number of us will rather look at other people and consider them as leaders will rather grumble and complain while others are failing, and will rather sit back and watch others display the qualities that they have discovered and are able to display. Now, let me dare say this, that if you ever complain about leadership, it is because, one, you know what leadership is, you know what good leadership is, and that you are able to know this because those qualities are also found in the inside of you. Actually, it is those qualities that are itching in the inside of you that are prompting you to see others, their failure, and to grumble and complain about them. So, rather than grumble and complain about others who are exhibiting their leadership styles and qualities, I would encourage that you search within and you develop the qualities that are found in the inside of you. Now, that is where leaders are made. So you were born with the qualities, but just like gold, like crude oil, like silver, like diamond, those qualities need to be refined. Those qualities need to be enhanced. Those qualities need some polishing, need some training, need some development. And by the way, that is where Born to Lead finds itself in your life. That is where we find our relevance. Because what we do is help individuals identify the qualities that are in the inside of them, these leadership qualities that are in the inside of them. Now, we've done this in schools, in hospitals, in government organizations, in churches, or worship centers rather. We've done this amongst youths, we've done this amongst the elderly, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we would recommend that if you would intend to get us come along to come and train you, again, regardless of where you find yourself, then please contact us. All right? Contact us as Born to Lead, and we'll come around to help out in training you, in training your organization, in training staff, and whoever you may require. Now, I'll just paste two numbers and request that if you have any need for training, please feel free to get us come around and train, as it were, the persons that you want us to train. Let me type in the numbers and see if, okay, so sorry, I'm getting a bit of a snag on the system, but I'll get that across as soon as I can. Or what I'll probably do is post it on the comment section. So if you go to the comment section, please take a look at the numbers and get in touch with us as soon as you want us to come and help out in training. Okay? So these are the numbers. Okay. Typing out the numbers so that, all right. So if you get across to any of these numbers, you can get us come around to help in I mean, training you, training your organization, training your family, training your worship center, and whoever and whatever may be required of us to do. So that's what Born to Lead is all about. And I hope that we will continue with this broadcast every week at this particular time, 12 p.m. Nigerian time or West African time. We're 1 hour ahead of GMT. So it will be appropriate for you to join us. Now, let's go to today's topic. Determination. There's no leader that has excelled that has not been determined in one thing or the other. No leader. No person of influence has made an influence over any society, organization, family, worship center, or institution without some level of determination. Now, this fact is known about life, that whatever goal, whatever dream, whatever purpose you pursue, because the world does not understand you, because the earth does not clear a bush path for you to go through, you will constantly face opposition, constantly. Now, every new idea arises because an old idea has failed or is failing. And therefore, your new idea arises to challenge that old idea. And you and I know that there are people who are so engrossed in the old ideas. In fact, that's why the ideas have not been changed. And because they have been so engrossed in the old ideas, when you come up with new ideas, their first response is to challenge your idea. Is to sometimes not deliberate, all right? But out of protection, self-protection, out of an attempt to guard and guide themselves, they oppose your ideas. Therefore, there is no new idea that ever arises that does not come in contact with opposition. Now, determined leaders face the opposition and focus on the goal and target that they have ahead of them to be able to succeed. All right? But fearful, lazy leaders are people who succumb to opposition and crumble, as it were, okay, when opposition arises. So every leader must succeed only based on what I would call determination. All right? So whoever you are, you must be determined to succeed. Okay? So this is the encouragement that I have for you today. And today we're going to look at what it means to be able to succeed based on determination. Or how do you get determined? How do you encourage yourself to get determined to face whatever opposition is coming your way and to be able to succeed regardless of what opposition arises against you? That's what we're going to be looking at right now. But let me share a few quotes from some people who have succeeded as leaders, people who have succeeded as leaders in various fields. And perhaps that will enable us strive or succeed in or encourage us as we focus on how to succeed. Maya Angelou says this: you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. Okay? So you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. It may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. So opposition necessarily does not come to harm us. According to Maya Angelou, opposition comes to help us find out who we are, how built we are, how we are able to overcome the challenges that arise, and how we are able to spring forth. Opposition exposes ourselves to us. Okay? Exposition tells us who we are and how we are able to face the opposition or the challenges that arise against us. So this is what Maya Angelou suggests to us, and I would dare say that she is right. I'll agree with her, and I'll encourage us to also think in that direction. Now, let me see. Let me do a small check for some other quotes and probably say them. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. said. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. So Martin Luther King agrees that you will face obstacles, you will face opposition. Okay? You will face challenges. You may not be able to fly. That, for him, should not be an excuse for you not to attempt, okay? Not to attempt to fly, not to attempt to do whatever you have been called to do. And again, you and I know that Martin Luther King Jr. faced several oppositions while in life, okay? Because he fought for the rights of blacks in America, particularly in the southern part of America, where blacks were relegated because they had, through their ancestors, come into the country as slaves. They were considered perpetual slaves forever, okay? And he thought that wasn't appropriate. He felt that wasn't right. And he rose up to challenge that, that picture, that scenario. Now, Martin Luther King faced opposition not only from the whites who were ruling, but even from the blacks for which he was fighting for. Okay, and that's the trick about opposition. Sometimes it arises not necessarily from the enemies without, it arises from the enemies within. People who do not understand what you are up to and where you are going to. Okay, so this man faced opposition, but he was so determined to see that the blacks are liberated or were liberated, and he fought tooth and nail until the point of death. And so he says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And of course, he kept moving forward until the day he was killed. And 40 years thereabout after he died, America had the privilege of having a black man as their president. That's what standing against opposition can do. That's what being determined can help you be. Okay? The world over, the name Nelson Mandela needs no introduction. And of course, you are aware that Nelson Mandela spent 26 years of his life in prison. It was a difficult time for him. Within that time in prison, so many suggestions had come to him. So many deals, so many bargains had been presented to him. So he would forfeit his fight for the reign of freedom in South Africa against the minority rule of whites in the nation. Yet he turned down every one of those suggestions. He turned down every one of those suggestions. He was determined to pull it through. He was determined to push to the end. He was determined to ensure that he succeeded in breaking the rule of white minorities in South Africa. And of course, after more than 30 years of that fight, he succeeded eventually and even had the privilege to become South Africa's first elected president in terms of a general election. Again, because he was determined, he stood his ground to the very end. Not many of us are aware of the story of the birth of KFC. But I read the life of Colonel Sanders, a very interesting story. A man who grew up, had so many opposition in life, tried one business or the other, tried one vocation or the other to make it in life, all right, to achieve his goal in life. Things kept going from bad to worse, to the point where he considered committing suicide at some point. At that point, when he thought of committing suicide, he gave it a last shot. And what was his last shot? His last shot was to fry chicken and sell chicken by some special recipe that he had developed over time. And of course, Colonel Sanders began selling chicken at the age of 65. That's how old he was, 65. A determined person never gives up, never. Age is not a barrier for a determined person. A determined person keeps trying and striving and pushing forward until the day he or she dies. And at age 65, he discovered this recipe, fried chicken, sold chicken. And almost immediately, the chicken became the talk of town. And before you knew it, he started a business doing that. And before you knew it, he started to sell franchises. And of course, he died a multimillionaire, having sold the business out. That's the story behind KFC. So when next you go into KFC to eat chicken, please know that you are eating chicken from the sweat of a determined man. A man who did not regard opposition as opposition. A man who fought hard to succeed. A man who, in the face of challenges, stood his ground and stared the opposition and challenges in the eyes until he was able to break through and to succeed. Only determined people succeed. Again, the world is filled up with so many determined persons, Unfortunately, those who collapsed without determination are more than those who succeeded because they were determined. And the essence of this broadcast is to get you to see the reason to be determined. And I reckon that at the moment, there are many out there who have visions, who have goals, who have dreams. There are many out there who are pressed hard, pursuing a goal in life, and it looks as if the goal will never come to maturity, I just need to encourage you that this is not the time to give up. This is not the time to surrender. This is the time to push hard and to move forward. So this is the time to move forward. Never give up. Okay? Now, let me say one more quote and then I'll try to spell out steps that you must take to be able to be determined to stand against opposition. Albert Einstein says this: it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. What a way to say it. He acknowledges that he's not smart, but that he stays with problems longer. No wonder Albert Einstein made so many discoveries while alive. In fact, it would suggest that Albert Einstein never saw a problem as a problem. He saw every problem as an opportunity. That's what Albert Einstein did. He saw every problem as an opportunity. And I think this is interesting, because the moment you begin to look at problems or situations as problems, you are going to buckle under them. You're going to buckle under them. Now, the Chinese have a funny way at looking at the word problem. In fact, the same language for which they describe problem is the same word that is used to describe opportunity. And in life, it just will depend on what side of the divide you choose to fall on. If you see your situations as problems, of course you buckle under them rather. If you see them as opportunities, you will pursue them to the very end. You will be determined to change the situation, to change the narrative, to change the picture. Now, having said all this, and having come thus far, how do you stand and be determined to overcome opposition? How? How do you succeed in the face of what you consider an opposition to you? Now, there are several ways, and permit me to just read through a few and then make some comments about them even before I end this broadcast. People with vision, people with purpose, never fall to opposition, never. So the first thing in life is to identify your purpose. What is the goal? What is the reason for which you live? What is your mind focused on? What is your end goal in life? Now you must determine that immediately if you want to be determined. You must find out what your purpose is in life, because your purpose is your compass in life, compass for life. Your purpose is that dream that makes you restless when you want to rest. Is that dream that continues to prick your heart, to want you to always rise up and pursue that goal, even in your sleep. That's your purpose. So the first thing is to clarify your purpose. Now, unless you are able to clarify your purpose in life unless you are able to identify who who you are and what you are meant to do in life. The truth is that when challenges arise, you will simply fall away. You will fall apart. People with purpose are determined people. They get determined to fulfill their purpose. The reason being that they know that if they do not pursue their purpose, if they do not accomplish their purpose, they will never be fulfilled in life. And every one of us desires to be fulfilled in life. Every one of us. So the first thing is to determine your purpose. Identify, clarify your purpose in life. And in that regard, once you clarify your purpose in life, it becomes easier for you to withstand and overcome every challenge that comes your way. That's how life has been meant or built to be. Okay? So, you must learn that. You must know that every opposition in life, once it encounters your purpose, will give way to your purpose. You will be so determined to pursue your purpose. Okay? The reason why we have so many suicides on earth is because people haven't identified their purposes in life. So every small opposition, every small challenge, every small disruption turns their lives upside down, and they see no reason for living anymore. They see no reason for living anymore. But the reason why Colonel Sanders pushed on, pressed on, and even in spite of the fact that he thought of committing suicide at one point, but changed his mind, is because he knew that life was greater than what he was experiencing. Life was bigger than what he was experiencing. If you know that life is bigger than what you are experiencing, you will look for the bigger portion of life. You will look for the bigger portion of life. So that's the first trick towards enabling you become determined in life. Identify your purpose. At some day, I will probably next week talk about how to identify your purpose. And these things are simple, quite simple. I'll try to demystify how you can find your purpose. Again, a number of principles and theories have been postulated and have been discovered towards helping people identify the purpose for which they were born. Because the truth is, if you identify your purpose in life, nearly everything becomes easy, including problems that are meant to break you. They become smooth, they become easy. So every time, okay, that Muhammad Ali gets knocked down, because he knows his purpose in life is to box and to entertain people, he rises up at every fall or every defeat to regain his title, to regain his position in boxing. He identified his purpose. He knew it. Who failed so many elections only to aspire for higher offices and eventually became greater in their new offices. Why? They identified their purpose in life, they pursued their purpose in life, and sure, their purpose in life got them, okay, got them to the place where they are aimed for. So first thing first, identify your purpose in life. Know why you were born. Know who you are. Know the things that you ought to be pursuing and pursue them. Because by doing so, everything becomes easy for you. Everything. The next is to have the end in mind. The end in mind. And by this I mean, you know your purpose, you've identified your purpose, you're pursuing a dream and a goal. What is the result you will get at the end of the goal? at the end of your pursuit. Have that constantly in mind. People who have results at heart forget the opposition when it arises. People who know what the end result will produce forget the challenges that they face at the moment. Again, there are so many people in life who have looked at the end result and have not considered the immediate disturbances, the immediate challenges, the immediate opposition that arises against them. And they, because of that, pursued their goals, their dreams to the very end. To the very end. I gave an example of Nelson Mandela. The end he had in mind was that South Africa would be free for blacks and whites to rule and to reign as much as they wanted, as much as they could pursue. That was the end result he had in mind. Mahatma Gandhi had in mind a free India. And in fact, at that time, the free India included India and what is called Pakistan today. He had that in mind. And for that reason, the entire army of the British Empire or British colony could not defeat this tiny, lanky man. He pushed to the very end. There was not a single day that Mahatma Gandhi used any weapon to fight the British Empire, or rather, to fight the colonial masters, the British colonial masters. There was not a single day, at least as record can say, that he used any weapon to fight against the British people, except for the weapon of determination. And he was determined. He was determined only because he had the goal in mind. He had the goal in mind to be able to succeed. He had the end result at heart. That's all that he had in mind. And that was the purpose for which Mahatma Gandhi pressed on to the very end. And I encourage you today, friends, push on with the goal, with the end goal at heart, the end result in mind. If you have the end result in mind, there is no opposition that can arise against you that you will not be able to knock down. No opposition whatsoever that you will not be able to knock down. With the lockdown, because of COVID-19, there are so many people who, for example, footballers who have been so eager, wanting to go back to the field to train. Okay? Not only that, but in fact, that because of the lockdown, they have created atmospheres for training for themselves. They've been determined because they know that at the end of the lockdown, they will be called back to the football field to go and play and entertain people. And because of the great love and respect that they have for their sport, a lot of them never relax. And it's the same with every athlete. No athlete succeeds without the end goal in mind. No athlete. No athlete succeeds without the end goal in mind. Now, in the process of pursuing success, they have to wake up at odd hours of the day to train. They have to forfeit certain meals. They have to adapt certain meals. They have to adapt certain regimes. They have to like things that they never liked before. They have to cut down on the number of hours they spend watching TV because they have an end goal in mind. An end goal in mind. A few years ago, Usain Bolt, the fastest man ever, retired from from running the 100 meters race, or from running rather. Okay, before then, he had limited and restricted himself to certain goals. He had trained his mind to accept certain hardship, certain opposition, certain difficulty, and those difficulties eventually built his body and helped him to succeed in his race. Why? Because he had an end goal in mind. He had an end result in his heart. So to be able to overcome opposition, to be able to overcome challenges, to be determined to achieve your dream in life, you must have the end goal at heart. Never lose focus of the end goal at heart. Now the third is this. Having identified your purpose, having known the end goal at heart, you must break down these clarified purposes and goals into bits and pieces that are achievable within a time frame. This is where planning comes in. You must learn to plan your life in such a way that you achieve goal after goal after goal after goal, regardless of the challenges that arise because of the goals that you are pursuing. And again, it's not a hidden truth, it's not a hidden fact. Whatever phase of goal you have in life, you will be challenged. Whatever phase you are in life at the moment, you will be challenged. The only person that never gets challenged is the person that never does anything. Actually, that is his biggest challenge. To never do anything is the greatest challenge in life. And there are a lot of people out there. Some have died, are in the grave right now. They are resting. Okay? You have always wanted to rest. Don't worry. When you get to the grave, you will rest for as long as you want. Nothing will challenge you in the grave. But you know that also in the grave, there is nothing you can ever achieve. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, if you know your goal in life, you know your purpose in life, you have your end result at heart, you must break down your goals in small, achievable bits. At the moment, I have a project that I anticipate in the next, well, right now it should be 8 years, because 2 years ago, I planned that project. Okay? I am at the second phase of that project. I'm going to the third year, which is the second phase of that project. Now, I've broken them down in pieces. I've had challenges, I've had opposition, but I've surmounted a number of them. Others are still coming up, but they become easier because I've been able to break them in chunks, in pieces. And I'm able to pursue goals after goals, goals after goals. All right? One day at a time. I'm struggling, I'm pushing on, I'm striving towards the end result, basically because I have broken them down in pieces, they become easier. I do not carry yesterday's or tomorrow's problem into today's life. No. The truth is that tomorrow has enough issues for itself. Tomorrow has enough problem for itself. So why not focus on today's problem? And in doing that, break down your goals into small, achievable projects. Okay? Into small, achievable goals. Daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals, annual goals. Break them down. Now, the trick is this. Okay? If you do not break them down, you have the whole gamut of plan to contend with. Okay? And the opposition that will arise in the size of the entire plan. But if you break it down, the opposition that will arise by the size of whatever plan you are addressing at that moment. And you know that your heart will tell you, your heart tells you and will tell you that if you are able to defeat this opposition, you go to the next phase of your plan. And if that be the case, you will always find yourself succeeding against every opposition that arises against you. So, friends, break your goals down in specific goals, in achievable goals, in smaller, manageable ways. That way, you will feel more determined to stick to your goals. If you know what to expect in 1 year, you will be determined to pursue it. For those who have set their goals and are pursuing it, regardless of the opposition of COVID-19 or coronavirus, they are still pursuing it. They know they can attain it, they can achieve it, because they have broken them down in small pieces, in small bits. That's the help that you get when you break goals in small pieces. Okay? Now, if you do that, you must also determine the steps that are required to achieve these goals. Okay? It is highly important that you set out the steps to achieve these goals. Again, you can never be accurate when it comes to the steps. Never be accurate. I do a bit of farming. Okay? And I realize that every year I plant the seedlings that will be required to plant 5 hectares of a field. Okay? I plant for the fertilizers, I plant for the equipment and so on and so forth that I will rent to work on the farm. There are days or years that I've come across or have encountered a situation where I haven't planned meticulously, at least so I thought in my mind. I haven't planned meticulously. I simply went to the market and discovered that the prices of certain goods had arisen. The prices of certain goods had gone off, knocking off whatever I had planned. But you know what? I've never been so discouraged not to do my work, because I simply need to do adjustments. And right now, when I plan for my seedlings, I also plan for emergencies. I plan for emergencies because someday, based on no direct plan of yours, you either lose crops because of some funny insects or whatever, or you lose seedlings because in the midst of transporting them, some get damaged and so on and so forth. These are all oppositions that arise, but they never deter me, because I've already determined the steps. If this happens, this is what I will do. If this happens, this is how I will go. And sometimes things that I never anticipate happen. But because I have given a thought to other challenges, I quickly rally around my head with other persons and arrive at, or press myself to arrive at certain steps that I need to take steps I need to move forward. Okay? So make sure that you plan out the steps of whatever project you are doing, because this is highly important. It is necessary that you do so. Okay? It is necessary that you do so. The next thing is to cut out negative thinking. Negative thinking. What do I mean by that? You and I are aware that there are persons who are so negative in mind, they are negatively inclined, such that when you present a proposition to them, what they are looking out for are the issues with the proposition, not the goals or the achievements that the proposition is supposed to attain. Those are negative-minded persons. I'm not talking about persons who criticize positively. No. I'm not talking about critics who criticize constructively. I'm talking about people who just put you down, pull you down, and discourage you from doing anything that you want to do. Now, my suggestion is cut away from negative thoughts, beginning from yourself. When Obama contested for elections in the US to become president, he came up with a phrase, yes, we can. That phrase was so powerful that even persons who did not have any connection with America's election held on to stickers, yes, we can. And of course, yes, we can was very necessary because for him, being a black man in the United States of America, where a black man had never risen to be president, it was going to be a huge challenge for him to aspire to that exalted office of the President of the United States of America. But because he had the audacity to think of it, he had the courage and determination to push through, he had that one phrase theme, yes, we can. He pushed through by that positive mentality. And at the end of the day, he became not just a one-term president, but a two-term president in the United States of America. And even till date, reference is being made to Barack Obama, whether for good or for bad. Reference is being made to Barack Obama. Why? He was positively inclined, or he's positively inclined. He pushed through. And I encourage you to think in that regard. Negative thoughts will arise in your mind. You must knock them off. You must send them out of your mind. Where you sit and you hear people talking negatively, you must walk away from them. You must move away from them. Evil communications corrupt good manners. For as long as you dwell or sit or reside with people who think negatively, so long will your mind be corrupted negatively. So long. Therefore, you must move away from the noise of negativity and lash on to whatever is positive. We've been on lockdown for months now, in some countries for 3-4 months, in some others 2 months. Okay? There are a lot of people who are so determined, knowing that the lockdown will come to an end. They have set their gaze and their focus upon particular goals they want to achieve. And there is no amount of pressure or negativity that can suppress that in their mind. In fact, a number of people have moved away from noisy environments because they do not want to hear the noise of negative people. One other way to become determined is to be flexible, very flexible. Be open to new ways. Be open to changes. My guess is that when Colonel Sanders began his business, there were so many things that needed his attention. There were so many things that he needed to amend, to adjust, to redo, okay? To the extent that the business became a thriving business. In fact, one of the things that he was flexible about to change to do was that he didn't want to have full control over the entire thing. So he started the idea of franchising the business. Why? Because he was flexible. He was flexible. You must be flexible. When Mahatma Gandhi fought for the entire Asian nation of India, including Pakistan, and Pakistanis all decided, look, at this point they were going to break away from Indians because, of course, religion came into play and some ethnic factors came to play. He was so flexible, all right? At first, he opposed it. He was disappointed that the Pakistanis could think of breaking away. He was disappointed, but he became so flexible that he allowed that to play out. He allowed that to play out. He knew that there was nothing he could do to reverse that situation. He was flexible. Today we have Pakistan and India, even though they still fight one another because of that decision that was made many years ago. Yet, because of his flexibility, two nations were born out of one challenge, one opposition, out of one cry that he made. Okay? So you've got to be flexible to be able to succeed. Our time is winding up gradually, so let me say this quickly. You've got to be very tenacious and consistent. Tenacity is what determination is all about. Tenacity. Tenacious people succeed. Consistent people succeed. Winston Churchill was tenacious as the Prime Minister of UK. When Hitler's Nazis came to war against the UK, he was tenacious, he was consistent, he was determined. He encouraged that tiny island of England to say we could march on against the greatest army on planet Earth then, and we would stand against them and conquer them. He was tenacious. His tenacity paid off as England was instrumental alongside other allies to see to the end of the Second World War. So World War II came to an end because of such tenacious men like Winston Churchill. Of course, he would have been opposed, challenged, probably told negative things, discouraged, but he was determined, he was tenacious, he was consistent. He did not withdraw from a decision to fight Germany, and it paid off. Tenacious people succeed. Tenacious people are determined people and they succeed. Again, many a times you've got to be obsessive about your idea. You've got to have an obsession over the things that you are pursuing, over the goals, the dreams that your life is pursuing. You've got to be so overwhelmed by the purpose you intend to achieve that whether you sleep or you wake, your mind is fixed, is focused, is consumed by that dream that you pursue. You've got to be so consumed from head to toe by your dream that when opposition or challenges arise, actually you see them as part and parcel of the drive towards succeeding in attaining your goals. Because again, there are so many people who have been faced or confronted with challenges and they maneuvered the challenges, manipulated the challenges, and the challenges became a part and parcel of the things that they have thought of. And of course, the foremost car maker, Ford, comes to mind. At some point, when he was thinking about the V6 engine or so, he had said this was possible, but his engineers went into the workshop, did all they could do, came back and told him this was never ever going to be possible. But he insisted. He was so obsessed. He wasn't an engineer, but he was so obsessed by the concept and the idea that he kept pushing on and on and on and on until that engine came to life. Until that engine came to life. That's what obsession does to a man or a person or a leader. You've got to be so obsessed by the things that you pursue. Now, as I round up, I've got to say these two more things. Next, you've got to work very hard. Work very hard. When oppositions come against you, they are determined to pull you down. They are determined to destroy what you have worked for. They are determined to scatter all that you have set your heart to pursue. Now you've got to work hard to be able to attain your goals. When you have a dream, it is not time to sleep. When you identify your purpose in life, it is not time for you to rest. It is time for you to work hard, both day and night. Hard work pays. Hard work pays. So rise up, both day and night, in cold and in heat. Rise up, in winter, in summer, in the rainy season, in Harmattan. Rise up and work hard. Facebook, YouTube have all come to life because those who invented them worked hard. They worked hard. There's nobody that hard work has killed, at least to the best of my knowledge. I haven't seen anyone who has worked hard towards a goal or a purpose that ended up dying. And of course, if there's anyone, if they ever die, find out, you will discover that they died achieving the things that they pursued. So you must work hard. Finally, you must also need or learn to take a break. And what do I mean when I say take a break? Do I mean stop dreaming? No. I don't mean stop dreaming. I mean, sometimes you've got to chill out, you've got to relax. You've got to pull back to be able to make an assessment of how far you have come, to be able to make an assessment of how far you've got left to go, to be able to make an assessment of the opposition that has arisen against you, to be able to make an assessment of your ways or possible ways out. That's what it means to take a break. And I encourage you to take a break sometimes, but ensure that the break doesn't last too long, so that you don't become too relaxed as to forget to pursue your purpose in life. Remember, by failing to pursue your purpose in life, you fail to live. That's the truth. If you do not achieve your purpose in life, you have failed to live, no matter how long you live. Methuselah lived for over 900 years. Eventually, nothing is recorded against his name as having been achieved by him. Okay? Martin Luther King died at the age of 39. He didn't even have the privilege to become an adult, or well, not an elderly person, so to speak. He was still within the range of youthfulness when he died. Yet, the things that he's achieved within that short span of 39 years has cut across nations. You must learn to pursue your goals and your purpose, and you must learn to dream well. And in dreaming well, you must be determined against every opposition that arises against you. Excuse me. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. And I do hope that you will join me henceforth as I continue live broadcasts on Born to Lead. Remember, Born to Lead is an organization with a sole purpose of training and developing leaders, or enhancing the qualities of leadership that are found in the inside of you. So what we do is to help you discover first the fact that you were born to lead. And after that, we can help you discover and unravel all the qualities of leadership, and also help you or train you and guide you in the way that you should lead, regardless of the family you find yourself in, regardless of the organization that you work in, or regardless of your career in life. You have been born to lead, and we are here to help you discover leadership. Thank you, and see you some other time. Cheers.